Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm joined by Chris McElwain. Chris is fighting a wee bit of the flu. He's fighting fit. He has passed a late fitness test. And I hope that he manages to make it through the night. The light on your face makes you look as though you're a kind of pole dancer in a dodgy nightclub. Right.
It does.
We are here to speak about Celtic versus Midtjylland. The last time we played against them was Angie's first competitive match, Dane Murray's debut, you'll remember it. And they bounced us out the qualifier back then for the Champions League. We meet tonight in the Europa League, of course. And Mitchelland are doing really well. And Martin O'Neill spoke about how tough this game is going to be tonight. This is a completely different challenge, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean they're top of the group for a reason. I think they're second in the league at the moment as well. From what I understand, quite a good outfit, high press, a team that likes to get the players in behind the fullbacks and exploit the space. Quite strong in midfield as well. And they're a team that's got the capability of scoring quite a few goals. Interestingly enough, I think they changed their manager relatively recently, despite the fact they were on quite a run, because they were planning for the long term. I was also doing a little bit of research earlier, and I believe that they have adopted a similar type of data model when it comes to recruitment, akin to Brentford, which as we've seen from Hearts is really paying off from a playing standpoint. So yeah, tough match tonight. We've seen two, I think, good performances under Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney since he's returned to the dugout. But European games, I think, to quote Henrik way back in the day, says European games, they're always different, aren't they? And I was fortunate enough to see Martin O'Neill in his famous treble winning side play in Europe all those years ago. I remember the heartache of being, I think, put out by Bordeaux, was it?
Memory serves. Maravchik scored a free kick.
That's right. And was that a Christophe Dugarry late goal that put us out, if I remember right?
Him.
Yeah, French internationals. But I remember how close we came to winning, and at that point we were a good team, and all the teams that were playing, even at that UEFA Cup level at that time, were top teams. So tonight I think will be a hard match. It'll be interesting to see how the team responds under Martin in Europe. What I've liked so far is the energy levels that we've seen under Martin. The players are playing with, I think, a freedom, a confidence. They look like they're more comfortable in their own skin when they're on that park. I think, and put credit where it's due. I think we played incredibly well to get past a dogged Rangers team last weekend. They themselves look as though they're starting to mix it up a little bit more. Although I thought we could have and probably should have been out of sight with the amount of chances we had. But that's one of the things that I've liked, and it could be something we can exploit tonight. From what I understand, Mitchelland are very, very, very much a high pressing team. What we've seen since Martin's come in is we've seen the ability to move the ball from back to front quite quick and actually maybe cut out their midfield, exploit the pace of Tunekti and Johnny Kenny, for example. So that could be something that could work for us tonight. But like the first two games under Martin, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well, Chris. I mean, I always look forward to watching Celtic, don't get me wrong. However, it's not been a great watch recently. And then, of course, everything that happened, the events of 2 Mondays ago, where, it shocked everybody. If anybody says that they expected last Monday to happen, Chris, I think they're telling fibs. It shocked everybody. And then before you knew it, we're preparing for the game on Wednesday night. We're preparing for Falkirk. And JP and I were having a wee chat off camera after today's show. And we were talking about the fact that Martin O'Neill faced John McGlynn in the dugout for his first game back, right? And he says, I'm sure John McGlynn was the temporary manager of Hearts round about the time Martin O'Neill left. So we had a wee look through the wiki, which is basically the Bible. It's the gospel, right? And there it is. So the game before the Motherwell game, I don't want to talk about the Motherwell game, but the game before that, Celtic beat Hearts 2-1, and the Hearts management team was John McGlynn and Stephen Presley. There you go. So Presley obviously put one of the last coffin nails into Brendan Rodgers' coffin at Dens Park, and McGlynn is in the dugout again. We face what could probably be called old foes because they bounced us at the Champions League a few seasons ago in Midtjylland. And I mentioned Sviatchenko and Rasmussen as a couple of guys that have played for both Celtic and our Danish counterparts. We're going to be looking at the team tonight, and hopefully at some point in the pre-match we'll be joined by Acsom's newest contributor. If not, then hopefully we'll see him at half-time and full-time as well. Keep that one a surprise. There we go. Starting 11. There we go. Liam Scales. I thought Liam Scales was outstanding against Rangers. I thought he was brilliant. Right, so let's start off then with the central defensive partnership of Scales and Trusty. Let's start that as our point of discussion in relation to tonight's starting 11. So we've got two guys there that, if you look at last season and some of the best performances of last season in Europe, you've got to point to the Atalanta game. You've got to say that we went over there, Chris, and it was a defensive performance that night, and we did really, really well. And I remember coming away from the game thinking there was 4 players actually that really impressed me. It was a very good team performance. But 2 of them was definitely Scales and Trusty. I felt that night Alex Bailly played really well. And I might be confusing that with the Dortmund game where no many players did play well. But the other one was Adam Ida, now departed. But those 2 central defenders were the best players on the park that night.
Yes.
And it makes you wonder this season, and listen, I'm not, using any excuses to have a dig at the previous manager. I'm a big fan of Brendan Rodgers. But there seemed to be a reluctance this season to use that partnership, even though you know that at the top level of European football, regardless of the fact that both of them were left footers, they were able to defend. Yep. And I think that one of the first things that's happened since Mark O'Neill has taken the reins is he's decided, right, no, I'm just going to play these 2 guys. These 2 guys are my centre halves. Carter Vickers, of course, is injured. And, when I look at them and I look at their performance at the weekend, Trusty's obviously been much discussed due to the fact that he tickled Butland's hair. But these 2 guys, I think I look at them, even with the loss of Carter Vickers, and I'm going into this game fairly confident with the central defensive partnership. Why weren't we playing them before, Chris?
It's a strange one because Trusty was a big outlay, right? And I don't think he did anything massively wrong. He had a couple of iffy performances. You always remember the week as something comment that we saw at the touchline. But you're right that there were performances at the top level last season. The Atalanta is a standout one where the partnership between Trusty and Scales really worked, and I think it worked because they had a lot of bog standard defensive duty to do that night. It wasn't all about getting the ball on the deck and playing it quickly and trying to feed the attack. Their biggest job that night was to prevent Atalanta from scoring. And you're right, it was a disciplined performance. It was a gutsy performance. It was one where you really felt that we dug in. And it was an element of discipline that we hadn't had too often in Europe. So there was obviously the foundations of the makings there of what's quite a strong partnership. Now, I agree. I don't think it's an opportunity to denigrate the previous manager. But what I like about what we've seen under Martin O'Neill is that he's taken away some of that extra responsibility. And I think there's an element sometimes, I think I mentioned it before, that you can almost coach football out of players. You can overcoach them. A defender, for me, the first job and our first priority has to be the defensive side, right? That's what a central defender should do. First and foremost, your job is to protect your goal, protect your goalkeeper, and get the ball up to the players who can make something happen. And what I've liked with Martin O'Neill is that the guys look as though they're doing that. Scales is still moving the ball forward and using that quite well, but it doesn't look as though he's under quite as much pressure. It doesn't look as frantic at the back, which is nice. And Trusty, he's come in looking like a man with a point to prove. He's thrown himself into challenges. He's, really shown high energy. He's shown a bit of strength, a bit of physicality. You can't call him weak as anything now because he's knocking players left, right, and centre. Butland will certainly not call him weak, even though it was just a wee tap. But the point is that he's come in and he looks like, I've got a point to prove, and I want players to do that. I also think he's maybe benefiting from the fact that it's his second season at the club. I always think we were so quick to judge players that have only just come in. Okay, he came in for quite a big fee, but let's not write the guy off before we've really seen him, do anything wrong. And actually, what he's doing now is, I think he's becoming many supporters' kind of preferred option there now. So in that position at partner scale. So it's great to see. But I think they're also benefiting from the fact they've got a player like Arne Engels, who seems to be, again, looking much more promising under Martin O'Neill. And what we've seen in the last couple of games is, rather than all the onus be on Scales and Trusty to fire the ball forward, they're actually getting it to a player like Engels. And one of Engels' strengths for me is playing that ball from deep and getting players with the pace like Tunekti and Kenny in behind. So I think it's subtle tweaks, but it's effective.
You know the thing, excuse me, you mentioned Engels there. I think we're almost ready to bring in our third guest, the final part of the trio. You mentioned Engels. It was pointed out today by JP that, in between that Dundee and Hearts game, we did win a game in the Europa League against Sturm Graz. If you think back to that game, Engels was outstanding. He was outstanding, and that was under Brendan Rodgers. I champion the player because of his performances last season over the piece, over 50 games. I championed him because of that. But I don't think that he should have been written off as quickly as he was this season. And he started showing that under Brendan Rodgers against Sturm Graz. Now, hopefully we can bring in our new guest. We shall see. We used to talk about the horseshoe of death. And at the moment, we've got the circle of death. It's that one where you used to have the dial in and the little blue circle continued.
The blue circle of death, yeah.
Until you had nothing left. Right, so we'll just keep running with this at the moment. There's some brilliant comments and we'll move right through the team. We've started off with the centre halves. We've got Jungle Lion. Just because everybody thinks you're my favourite, Jungle, I'm bringing you up again first. North Curve. See, the more people criticise me, the more I'm going to do it, Chris. North Curve Tifo for the birthday boys tonight. 138 years of unbroken history. And what Celtic has given us. I was trying to work this out. I got sent incredibly through WhatsApp. You know when you get sent an image you've never seen of your family. I mean, not just of any random act. An image was sent through, and it was of my granny and granddad. My granddad, who I'd never ever seen on my mum's side. And the interesting point of that was I was trying to figure out the Celtic sides that I don't know why it's wishing me a happy birthday. It's not my birthday, it's Celtic's birthday. The Celtic sides that my granddad would have seen. I'm going to drop you out until we come back, Chris. And he passed in 1971. So then you start thinking to yourself, right, so if my first Celtic game was 87, how long would it have taken if I worked my way back to the formation of Celtic Football Club? And you're probably talking great-granddad would have seen Celtic. And today, 138 years after their formation, we celebrate our birthday. So thank you very much, North Jungle Lion, for coming in and reminding us of the fact that it is the birthday boys. I do remember, I think everybody will remember the 125th anniversary when we celebrated by beating Barcelona. So here we go. That was the Jungle Lion coming in. Stephen Broadley, I don't know what's happened to Chris. He's completely disappeared, as has our new guest, our new contributor. So they can go and reboot, and I will run myself until such times. Now, there's been a few people asking me whether or not I'm going to do a watch along in the second half. I did that, didn't I? I did that against Sturm Graz. Maybe it was a good luck charm. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at the half-time mood in the camp and how well we've been performing. And there's Chris trying to come back in. And it's the blue circle of death again, unfortunately. He's back.
Am I back? Am I
back? Yes, you are back.
Yeah. Apologies for that. I have no idea what happened. There was no.
I should think so. It's simply unacceptable. Listen, Chris, I was saying that the Sturm Graz game, I ended up running a watch along in the second half, and I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought to myself, you know what, I'm just going to watch it and speak as I think, and people will get bored within 5 minutes. And every other minute I says to them, well, we keep going. And those tuning in said, I keep going, so we do. Right. I'm bringing this up, right, because in terms of the football, it's been a little bit better since Martin O'Neill came back. I'm sure you will agree. Stephen Broadley, where is this negative vibe coming from, Stephen? You're on here on a regular basis commenting, and you are feeling a good old-fashioned pumping tonight. That's what you're feeling. Stupid mistakes will cost us. Come on, let's get that positivity that Martin O'Neill has brought back to the side, Stephen. I want you to change that mood before kickoff. You've got to believe in positive energy on nights like tonight. Michael Murray says scheduled for 20 minutes ago. We're not running late, Michael. Thanks for tuning in. We always go live 30 minutes before kickoff. Every game, no matter what the competition is, 30 minutes before kickoff, we shall go live. Okay, so I set it up a little bit earlier on all the different streaming sites, so that's why it appears before then. But we always kick off 30 minutes before. So great for you to join us. We'll be back at halftime and right on the full-time whistle as well. David Park, absolutely buzzing for the game. I'm buzzing as well. I am absolutely buzzing. I have been all day. This is the first time I can watch Acsom live. Well, thank you, David, for tuning in live. Usually just catch up on Spotify. Look forward to it. Apologies if it ever appears a little bit late on Spotify. They are done manually, those uploads. So sometimes after the stream, I need to jump in the motor and go straight to Glasgow for filming or a meeting or something like that. And it takes me until I come home before I do the uploads. So that's the explanation behind that. Paddy Lavery. That looks nothing like you in your avatar, Paddy. I've met you. That's not you. Chris is trying for a third time to come in. We take a draw, says Paddy. Right, you're back in again, mate. There's gremlins. There's gremlins. But hey, if you can't hear us, I can hear you. You might want to drop back out if you can't hear us. And he has. He's left me on my Todd. There we go. No problem. Darren Gilchrist, they are a good side, but hopefully we can keep our momentum going. Momentum's massive, Dan. It's absolutely huge. People talk about losing the dressing room, and I think that does happen in football. I think that managers can lose the buy-in from a squad or players. But I think with this Celtic side, it may have been, although more information will come out about this in the fullness of time, I'm sure. I think it was more of an energy thing, the demoralisation of the team. Now, I spoke about this in season 1 under Brendan and season 3, and this is my take on it. This is my theory. Let me know what you think, right? So he comes in, Brendan, he returns, and Celtic sign 9 players in that particular summer, okay? And from the 9, it's pretty clear that Brendan doesn't fancy the majority of them. He doesn't fancy the majority of them. And then it becomes pretty clear throughout that season that he's pretty much going to snub quite a few of them as well. And we've seen this in his first tenure at Celtic Park. And I started saying, look, Brendan Rodgers does not feel any obligation whatsoever to play players that he has not yet not signed, not identified, etc. Right? I'm pretty sure that any manager who inherits a player that they don't sign will take credit for them coming to the football club, take credit for their development and progression. But Brendan is the type of manager who didn't play players first time round. He didn't play players second time round. The issue I've got with that is because we signed so many players, and if they're not playing, they're unhappy. And these players build and form friendships within the football club, right? So if one of those guys that's unhappy, if you take Mike Nawrocki, who were the 2 players that he was close to at Celtic? And then, that unhappiness and that disharmony can spread. And we've seen it in the first season, and it took us till January before we got over it. And we've seen it in the third season. I think there was more harmony in season number 2. I just think you've got to be very careful if you alienate players within a pretty small squad. I mean, in great scheme of things, you're only talking 25 players. And if 8 or 9 of those players are unhappy, then that is a dangerous game to play. You've then got guys coming in, not making it into the Europa League squad. They're also unhappy. You've then got other players who were maybe established members of the team last season, i.e. Trusty, who Chris and I already spoke about. If they're not playing football, they're unhappy. But before you know it, you've got 10 unhappy footballers at the football club, and then you've got the secondary disharmony of guys that they're close with. I think that's what happened. We became, there was a disharmony within the dressing room and on the training park, a wee bit of disillusionment within some of the players. For example, Simpson Pusey and our 2 new Japanese signings, Inamura and Shinya Yamada. But yeah, momentum is the flip side of that, Darren. It's a flip side. It's a positive aspect of things going your way, everybody coming to their work happy, and the job just getting done without too much of a drama. And I think, and I hope that's where we are right now. Really keen, obviously, to get more of your comments in, but let's run through the rest of the team before I do that. Chris and Stephen Ray have tried to join me and they've dropped off. So I don't know if there's an issue with regards to the streaming. Never drink and do a live stream at the same time. Streaming platform. The starting 11, just as Chris tries to come back in, is Schmeichel, Ralston, Trusty, Scales and Tierney. There's the change. McGregor, Engels and Nygren. Forrest, another change to Netke and Kenny. You look at the bench, Sinisalo, Duhan, Balikwisha, McCowan, Yang, Osmond, the man of the moment, Bernardo, Sirachi, Maeda, Hitati, Murray and Donovan. Can you hear us? Chris McElwain.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I heard you the first time and the second time. Third time lucky, yeah?
Third time lucky. Well, I've done a full reboot, so we'll see if there doesn't seem to be any problems, but goodness knows, it's very strange.
Switch it off and switch it back on, mate. It's
honestly that, IT fix, it always works.
That is as technical as it gets.
Apologies for that, guys.
Well, that's your thing. So, hail from Thailand, John McVeigh. You know I'm joking. Thailand, it's great to see you, John. Absolutely brilliant to see you. We've got the big man, Ewan Martin. They say the best were born the 15th of December. What does he mean by that?
I don't know, but he's got my birthday wrong. Mine's is the 17th, so he's definitely got that wrong.
Mine's is the 15th. Incidentally, here we go. I don't know who else was born. I told Stephen Broadley earlier on, get a bit of positivity about you, Stephen. Let's check back in with Stephen, see how he's feeling. I can't shake off. We are getting a gubbin tonight. A minute ago it was a pumping, now it's a gubbin, Stephen. Come on. Right. What about the Martin O'Neill effect? Is it Brendan, Gavi boy? Yeah, well, you'll never know now. We were going to have the wee man on the show, but unfortunately he can't make it. I don't know if Dermot Desmond's cut his wires. Right, Jerry Burns, Sirachi should be playing. I'm going to ask you the question. Yes, he is in form at the minute. What's your thoughts? Because JP called this earlier, Chris. He said he saw Tierney coming in.
Yeah, I think, given what I said earlier before I was so rudely cut off by the Glasgow Wi-Fi, I think the team we're up against tonight will really try and exploit the fullbacks tonight. So I think Tierney's experience could be vital. Sirachi, I agree. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. I love his pace. I love his energy, his ability to overlap. I think he looks like he's building a decent relationship with Tunekti. And I also think just the sheer work rate, he gets into midfield, he makes challenges. So I'm absolutely a big fan of Sirachi. But, you bring in Tierney, I think you're bringing in experience. I think you're bringing in defensive nous, maybe a little bit more than what we've seen from Sirachi. Sirachi, I think, again, has got a little bit of... he's got almost a little bit of the South American, the fire, so his discipline at the back is maybe not his strongest point, although I do think he compensates with the energy levels. But with Tierney, I think you get a little bit more composure at the back. I think decision-making might be a big factor tonight. And I do think it's maybe a game where there'll be points where we'll be on the back foot. So Tierney's ability to move kind of further in and help support Trusty and Scales could be important tonight. So I think JP may have got it spot on for me. I think starting with Tierney is a smart play. And listen, having Sirachi on the bench, see if you are looking to try and inject some energy in the second half. What a great option to bring in. Because while, as I said, the team we're playing tonight are known for their attacking play, that could mean that they'll leave gaps at the back, particularly as the game progresses. So if we can stay in it, if we can compete for the first half, for the first 60 minutes, whatever, you bring someone like Sirachi on, you imagine him playing against really tired defenders. That would be superb. So I think it's a smart move tonight. I hope it pays off. I hope we look a bit more solid.
I think it was on Tuesday we were talking about the likelihoods of Sirachi not making it due to the fact he was taken off after 77 against Rangers.
Another good point as well, yeah.
So there's maybe a niggle. And I thought Tierney did really well when he came on, actually. Ian Roy would have played Sirachi. You were talking about the nature of the player. And it started making me think about Alexandro Bernabe. Now, we do jump into the past. There's always a wee bit of nostalgia on Acsom. So I had a look at Bernabe there because I've not been checking. I often check on how these guys are doing. So he's still with Internacional. He's only 25 and he's played 45 games this season, scoring 2 goals and chipping in with 6 assists. But this is the interesting one. Look at his disciplinary record, 12 yellows and 1 red. I knew that was going to be what you would get from Bernabei because he had that about him, didn't he?
He did, yeah, and it was very much. He just had that. I mean, the one thing about Bernabei, I still to this day have no idea what kind of position he was trying to play for us, because he was absolutely everywhere. And you never knew if he was going to try and play as a number 10, if he was going to try and play on the wing, if he was going to go back and be a defender. I mean, I think the only position we didn't see him playing was the the goal. Was in goals rather. Yeah, it does feel a bit like that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my lighting sorted out as well. I'm just conscious it's quite dark in here. But my Wi-Fi, my electricity bill's not getting paid either. Neither is the Wi-Fi. So apologies for that. But the one thing that Bernabei and Sarachi I think are similar is in that energy level. It's in that application. It's in that really put themselves all over the park. I think Sarachi looks like he's much more disciplined in terms of his position. For me, it looks as though he knows his role a little better. Whereas Bernabei would pick the ball up in his own box, dribble it past 20 men, and score the best goal of the game. And then next game he would be, diabolical. So, Sarachi, I feel a bit more confident that I know what you're going to get from him, and I think that's a good thing. But as I say, the one element where I've maybe not seen him at his best has been on the in the defensive side. So
yeah, that's fair play. I think fair comment, John Sweeney. You're in. Sunday game is more important. I would have played a few fringe players, and Brendan Kelly also says we have a squad. Nothing wrong with using it during this extremely busy period. Yeah, the game's coming thick and fast, that's for sure. And then we'll have a rest after the Kelly game for yet another international break. Jace Face 7464 here. Can you guys smash the like? We've actually got 1,000 at the moment, Jace, but that was a wee bit earlier when you were on. Can we smash the like, please? Smash the like button. That's what the kids say. What that means is just click on like to promote and help the guys, because it affects the algorithm who are here every day for us. No sponsor, you're right. We do not have a sponsor. Anybody out there who wishes to sponsor Acsom, get in touch. We've also got Jokamola. A good defensive setup required tonight, I think so. It's not going to be quite the Atalanta game, I don't think, but there's going to be periods of this game where we are under a cosh and we need to defend. Yeah. I'm pretty sure of that. GS IG 6mm. But man, has Martin O'Neill got us all feeling excited again? Yeah, he has. He absolutely has. And I've said that a few times this week. I'm not sure anybody else on the planet, no from the past, could have come in and unified Celtic the way that he has. And I don't mean that he's unified Celtic insofar as all the different protests that Celtic fans had and all the issues that Celtic fans had and the collective have had disappear and dissipate because Martin Neil's in the building. Absolutely not. I think you can have two things here. I think you can be much happier with what's happening on the football park, but you can also have the gripes in relation to the issues with the boards. And I think for me, it's a double-pronged attack. Here we go. I was going to read out Peace Froggy, but I won't because this is a family show, Peace Froggy. It almost came up. I don't know what you're talking about, Robert Forrest, but you've smashed it, which is great. As well, Drew wants to sponsor us. Drew wants to sponsor us. But did you just read it? Yeah. I could bring up some others. People are in good spirits tonight.
I'm guessing to get it tight tonight. For goodness sakes, give me a break, guys. I'm not well.
Well, you know what, Chris? It's because they like you. It's because they like you, right? So, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. We've got about 1,000 live at the moment. We're on the pre-match and just about to go live in Denmark. It's one of these games, I think. Here's a wee question for you, right? In the comments. Celtic, before we go to the game, Celtic are playing in Denmark this evening, and Kasper Schmeichel obviously is our goalie. Kasper saves, let's not forget. Kasper is the third Danish goalkeeper Celtic have signed, with an emphasis on the word signed, because they may not have played for the club, but Celtic have signed 3 Danish goalies. I'm not going to give you the answer. Tell me who the other 2 are. Kasper Schmeichel obviously starts tonight. If you can tell me the answer today, right now, half-time, full-time, maybe we'll throw in a wee prize. It is a belter of a question. It's not an easy one. And it only came to me earlier on tonight because I bought a little batch of Celtic press photos from the 1960s. There's your era. And he was on them, and he was the only guy I couldn't mention it, one of them anyway, the only guy I couldn't recognise. But thankfully, back in the day, they always had the names of the players on the back of the photographs. So there you go. I can't see anybody coming in with the answer to that, because it is extremely hard. Right, I want a prediction from you. I've already predicted 1-1 tonight, Chris, earlier on today with JP. What's your thoughts on tonight's outcome?
I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed with a draw, whether a scoring draw or a non-scoring draw. But there's something about this team, and I think since Martinelli come in, they're playing with a bit of belief. So I think if they can keep their discipline, they can, if they just show the energy levels, maybe we get another Atalanta. But I think there's also a capability for us to score past this team. Teams that come in attacks sometimes leave spaces in behind that we can exploit. So I'm going to go for a tight 2-1 to Celtic.
Brilliant. 2-1 to Celtic. Right, just before we go back, Ian, and everybody else tuning in, have a think about it. Celtic have signed 3 Danish goalkeepers. One of them, of course, plays tonight. Who are the other 2? Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. Tune in at half-time for more from Chris McAway and myself on A Celtic State of Mind.